Today, we're exposing the 5 chicken nugget brands the UK should be avoiding at all costs. Products pulled from shelves for foreign objects. Everyday freezer staples so heavily processed and chemically altered that calling them chicken feels dangerously generous. If you care about what you're feeding your family, you need to watch this until the very end. For decades, the British public was told that a quick meal from the freezer was just convenient family food, that grabbing a bag of nuggets for the kids was perfectly harmless. They marketed these golden, crispy bites as fun, tasty, and part of a balanced diet. The adverts showed happy families gathered around dinner tables, smiling children with ketchup-stained fingers, and parents who felt confident they were doing right by their loved ones. But what they didn't show you was the factory floor, the mechanically separated meat, the long list of chemical additives, or the corners cut in the name of profit. Let me ask you something. Have you ever checked the ingredient list on your chicken nuggets? Drop a comment below and let me know. Fast forward to today, and childhood obesity is at an all-time high. Heart disease hasn't declined, it's worse than ever. And the very foods we were told were safe, convenient family staples are now being exposed for what they really are: ultra-processed, mechanically engineered products designed for profit, not for health. The media pushed it, nutritionists endorsed it, supermarkets stocked it, and for years we trusted them. Because chicken nuggets used to be simple. Real chicken breast, lightly breaded and fried. But the nuggets sitting in freezers across Britain today are a far cry from that, packed with fillers, binders, stabilizers, seed oils, and meat so processed it's been mechanically separated from the bone and reassembled into uniform shapes. These aren't food anymore, they're Frankenstein creations. Number 1. Bernard Matthews Golden Drummers, the brand that defined British childhood for millions. The turkey dinosaurs, the golden drummers, the nostalgia wrapped in every freezer pack. Bernard Matthews was a household name. A symbol of quick, easy, and trusted British food. For generations, parents reached for these products without hesitation because the name carried weight, history, and a sense of homegrown reliability. But that trust has been built on a foundation that's been quietly crumbling for years. Let's start with the obvious. Golden drummers aren't made from chicken breast. They're made from mechanically separated poultry meat. That's a polite way of saying the leftover scraps, bones, cartilage, and connective tissue are forced through industrial machinery under high pressure until a paste-like substance emerges. This paste is then mixed with water, starches, flour, and seed oils to bulk it up, flavored with additives to make it taste like something it isn't, and molded into those familiar little drumstick shapes. If you've ever eaten these as a kid, hit the like button. Let's see how many of us were fooled. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment. Mechanically separated turkey, wheat flour, rapeseed oil, modified maize starch, stabilizers like E450 and E451, emulsifiers, flavor enhancers, and coloring agents. This isn't chicken. This isn't even real meat in the traditional sense. It's reconstituted poultry waste, dressed up as a fun family meal. And yet, Bernard Matthews has spent decades marketing these products to British families as wholesome, convenient, and trustworthy. But here's where it gets worse. In 2007, Bernard Matthews was hit with one of the biggest food safety scandals in modern British history, the H5N1 avian flu outbreak. It started at their Suffolk processing plant and quickly spread to multiple sites. Thousands of turkeys were culled. Operations were shut down. The entire brand's reputation was dragged through the mud. And while they eventually recovered commercially, the trust was never the same. People started asking questions they should have been asking all along. What exactly are we feeding our children? And the problems didn't stop there. Over the years, Bernard Matthews products have been repeatedly flagged for high salt content, excessive saturated fat, and shockingly low actual meat percentages. Some products contained less than 60% real poultry, meaning nearly half of what you're eating is filler, fat, water, and additives. For parents trying to feed their kids something quick and easy, this isn't just disappointing, it's a betrayal. Even more troubling is the fact that Bernard Matthews is no longer a British-owned company. In 2016, the brand was sold to Boparan Holdings, part of the Two Sisters Food Group empire. So while the packaging still waves the Union Jack and plays on British nostalgia, the profits flow to a massive corporate conglomerate with a history of its own controversies. The Bernard Matthews your parents trusted is not the same company operating today. It's a shell of its former self, trading on legacy while cutting every possible corner. Does this shock you? Comment below if you think brands like this should be held accountable. Number 2. Tesco breaded chicken nuggets, the budget option. The trolley filler, the freezer staple, millions of British households buy every single week without a second thought. It's cheap, it's convenient, and it's always in stock. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Tesco's basic breaded chicken nuggets have quietly become one of the most consumed ultra-processed foods in the country. Not because they're nutritious, not because they're made well, but because they're accessible and aggressively marketed as a family-friendly essential. But take one look at what's actually inside these nuggets, and the illusion falls apart instantly. The primary ingredient isn't chicken breast. It's reformed chicken, which is a polite industry term for chicken scraps, skin, fat, and connective tissue that's been mechanically mashed together and shaped into uniform pieces. Mixed with that reformed meat is a cocktail of wheat flour, water, vegetable oils, including rapeseed and palm, modified starches, raising agents, stabilizers, and emulsifiers. The breading isn't light and crispy, it's engineered to hold together during freezing, shipping, and cooking, which means it's loaded with binding agents your body was never designed to process daily. And then there's the nutritional reality. A single serving of these nuggets contains shockingly high levels of sodium, enough to put a child well over their recommended daily limit if paired with anything else salty that day. The fat content is through the roof, and not the good kind of fat. We're talking industrial seed oils, the same oils now being linked to inflammation, metabolic disorders, and long-term cardiovascular damage. Yet Tesco markets these nuggets as a quick family meal, a lunchbox filler, something harmless and convenient. If you've bought these before, leave a comment. Let's see how many of us have fallen for this. But it's not just the ingredients that are the problem, it's the entire philosophy behind the product. Tesco's breaded chicken nuggets aren't designed to nourish. They're designed to be cheap, to move volume, to sit in freezers for months without degradation, and to appeal to children who've been conditioned to crave that salty, crunchy, artificially flavored taste. This is food engineered for profit, not for people. And because Tesco is one of the UK's largest supermarket chains, these nuggets end up in millions of homes, feeding millions of children day after day, week after week. And here's the part that should terrify every parent. Studies have shown that diets high in ultra-processed foods, particularly those heavy in refined starches and seed oils, are directly linked to childhood obesity, behavioral issues, and metabolic dysfunction. Yet products like this are positioned on shelves at eye level for kids, packaged in bright colors, sold at prices that make them impossible to resist for families on tight budgets. It's not just negligence, it's exploitation. Tesco's breaded chicken nuggets represent everything wrong with the modern British food system. Cheap to produce, easy to sell, harmful to consume, and completely disconnected from what food is supposed to be. Number 3. Iceland chicken dippers. Iceland, the supermarket that built its brand on frozen convenience, has long positioned itself as the store for hard-working families. The place where you can stock your freezer without breaking the bank. And for years, their chicken dippers have been a go-to product for parents looking for something quick, easy, and kid-friendly. But behind the cheerful packaging and the budget-friendly price tag lies a product that's as artificial as it gets. Iceland's chicken dippers aren't made from whole chicken breast. They're made from chicken breast meat that's been chopped and reformed, a process that involves taking smaller pieces of meat, adding water, binders, and stabilizers, then pressing it all together into uniform shapes. The result is a product that looks like chicken, feels sort of like chicken, but doesn't behave like real chicken in your body. Because it's not real chicken. It's chicken-flavored protein paste, engineered for texture and shelf stability. Hit the like button if you think it's time we demand better from these companies. The breading is where things get even worse. Wheat flour, palm oil, modified starch, raising agents, salt, and a cocktail of emulsifiers and flavor enhancers. This isn't a light, crispy coating. This is an industrial shell designed to survive freezing, transport, months in storage, and high-heat cooking without falling apart. And to achieve that, it's loaded with chemicals, stabilizers, and cheap oils that have no place in real food. And then there's the nutritional profile. A serving of Iceland chicken dippers contains more sodium than a child should consume in an entire meal, more saturated fat than you'd find in a fast food burger, and almost zero nutritional value beyond empty calories. No fiber, minimal vitamins, and protein that comes from reformed scraps rather than quality meat. Yet these dippers are marketed as a family staple, a lunchbox essential. Something you can feel good about serving your kids. But Iceland's chicken dippers represent something even more insidious, the normalization of fake food. Because these products aren't sold as junk food. They're not positioned as treats or indulgences. They're sold as everyday meals, as something normal, something every freezer should have. And over time, that normalization has conditioned an entire generation to believe that this is what chicken is supposed to taste like, feel like, and look like. The reality is that Iceland chicken dippers are a symptom of a much larger problem. A food industry that prioritizes convenience and cost over health and honesty. A system that churns out ultra-processed, nutritionally bankrupt products and markets them to the most vulnerable, busy parents and hungry children. Comment below if you've ever bought these. Let's talk about how these brands have fooled us all. Number 4. Asda Chicken Nuggets. Asda. The supermarket that's become synonymous with affordability and family-friendly shopping. And right there in the frozen aisle, sitting alongside all the other family staples, are Asda's own brand chicken nuggets. Cheap, convenient, and marketed as a quick dinner solution for busy parents. But like so many other budget freezer products, these nuggets are built on a foundation of industrial processing, cheap ingredients, and nutritional shortcuts. Let's be clear, Asda chicken nuggets are not made from premium chicken breast. They're made from chicken meat that's been mechanically processed, reformed, and bulked up with water, starches, and binding agents. The ingredient list is a parade of additives: wheat flour, rapeseed oil, modified potato starch, salt, raising agents, stabilizers, emulsifiers, and flavorings. This isn't food your body recognizes. It's a manufactured product designed to mimic the taste and texture of real chicken while cutting costs at every possible stage. And just like Tesco and Iceland, Asda's nuggets are loaded with sodium, saturated fat, and industrial seed oils. The breading alone is a calorie bomb, fried in oils that oxidize under heat and create compounds linked to inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Yet these nuggets are positioned as a family meal, a kid-friendly option, something harmless and normal. If you're shocked by what you're hearing, smash that subscribe button so you never miss the truth about what's really in your food. But here's where Asda's story takes an even darker turn. In recent years, Asda has been repeatedly criticized for the quality and safety standards of its own brand products. There have been multiple recalls across various product lines, incidents of contamination, labeling errors, and concerns raised by food safety authorities. And, while not all of these incidents involved chicken nuggets specifically, they paint a picture of a company that's stretched too thin, cutting too many corners, and prioritizing volume over safety. And then there's the ethical question. Asda is owned by the Issa brothers and TDR Capital, a private equity firm. That means every penny spent on these nuggets flows into the pockets of investors whose only concern is return on investment. There's no legacy here, no heritage, no commitment to British food culture, just profit extraction disguised as everyday affordability. The tragedy is that millions of British families rely on products like Asda chicken nuggets because they're cheap and easy. But cheap comes at a cost. And that cost is paid in the long-term health of your children, the erosion of food standards, and the normalization of fake, ultra-processed garbage being passed off as real meals. Asda chicken nuggets aren't food, they're a business model. And that business model is built on the assumption that you won't read the label, won't ask questions, and won't demand better. Number 5. Sainsbury's chicken nuggets. Sainsbury's, one of the oldest and most respected names in British retail, a supermarket that, for over a century, has prided itself on quality, trust, and British values. And yet, even Sainsbury's has fallen into the same trap as the rest, selling ultra-processed, nutritionally compromised chicken nuggets under the guise of convenience and family-friendly value. Sainsbury's chicken nuggets, like all the others on this list, are made from reformed chicken. That means the meat has been mechanically separated, chopped, mixed with water, binders, and stabilizers, and then pressed into shape. The breading is the usual cocktail of wheat flour, vegetable oils, modified starches, raising agents, salt, and emulsifiers. And just like the others, the nutritional profile is a disaster. High sodium, high fat, minimal protein quality, and zero fiber. But what makes Sainsbury's inclusion on this list particularly painful is the betrayal of trust. Because Sainsbury's isn't supposed to be like this. For decades, it positioned itself as the supermarket that cared about quality, that sourced responsibly, that put customers first. And yet, their own brand chicken nuggets are indistinguishable from the cheapest budget options. Same ingredients, same processing, same nutritional emptiness. If you've ever trusted Sainsbury's and feel let down, leave a comment. Let's hold them accountable. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even premium supermarkets like Sainsbury's have been pulled into the race to the bottom. Because when profit margins are tight and competition is fierce, quality is always the first casualty. It doesn't matter how trusted the name is. It doesn't matter how long the heritage goes back. When the food industry prioritizes cost-cutting and convenience over health and honesty, even the most respected brands will compromise. In recent years, Sainsbury's has faced its own share of controversies: product recalls, labeling scandals, supplier issues, contamination scares. And while the company has worked hard to maintain its reputation, the cracks are showing. Because you can't sell ultra-processed junk and maintain a reputation for quality, the two are fundamentally incompatible. Sainsbury's chicken nuggets are a reminder that no brand is immune, no name is too big to fall. And no amount of heritage or history can protect a company that's willing to sacrifice standards for profit. So what does all of this mean? It means that the British public has been systematically deceived. For decades, we've been sold the idea that frozen chicken nuggets are a harmless family staple. A quick, easy meal that parents can feel good about serving. But the reality is that these products are some of the most ultra-processed, nutritionally bankrupt items in the entire supermarket. Mechanically separated meat, seed oils, stabilizers, emulsifiers, modified starches, excessive sodium, saturated fats, minimal real chicken, and all of it wrapped in bright packaging, marketed to children, and sold to parents who are too busy, too stressed, or too trusting to question what's really inside. If this video has opened your eyes, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're exposing the truth the food industry doesn't want you to know. And the worst part is that this isn't an accident. This is by design. The food industry knows exactly what it's doing. It knows that if it makes the product cheap enough, convenient enough, and kid-friendly enough, people will buy it. It knows that if it uses the right words, family, value, quality, British, it can maintain trust even while cutting every possible corner, and it knows that as long as the public stays uninformed, nothing will change. But change starts with awareness. It starts with reading labels. It starts with asking questions. It starts with refusing to accept that this is just how food has to be. Because it doesn't. There was a time, not even that long ago, when chicken nuggets were made from real chicken breast, lightly breaded and cooked fresh. There was a time when convenience didn't mean compromising health. And there can be a time like that again, but only if we demand it. You don't need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Even small changes make a difference. If you can, try making chicken nuggets at home. It's easier than you think. Real chicken breast, cut into pieces, coated in breadcrumbs, and baked or fried in real butter or olive oil. No chemicals, no stabilizers, no mechanically separated meat, just real food. And if homemade isn't an option, at least make better choices. Read the labels. Look for products with short ingredient lists. Avoid anything with mechanically separated meat, reformed chicken, or long lists of additives. Choose brands that prioritize quality over cost. And most importantly, teach your children what real food looks like, tastes like, and feels like. Because if we don't, the food industry will keep conditioning them to crave fake, ultra-processed garbage. The British public deserves honesty. We deserve real food, real ingredients, and real transparency. Instead, we've been sold illusions. They kept the name chicken nuggets, but not the product. What we're buying today isn't the food of our parents' era. It's something entirely different, something engineered, manipulated, reformed, stabilized, and oiled, something so far removed from real chicken that calling it food feels like a technicality. This is Frankenstein food. And it's time we stopped accepting it. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel for more truth about what's really in your food. Together, we can demand better. Together, we can take back control of our plates. Until then, stay aware, stay sharp, and protect your family.